this message on Thursday. I left Friday open because I wanted to go skiing Friday. Now, I can tell you that I've done a lot of skiing over the years, and very rarely, very few times in my life have I skied out of control. I'm always in total control. That's the way I ski. If I'm not in control, I don't want to ski. But my son and I were on the mountain Friday, and we were riding up the lift, and we looked at this very steep portion of the mountain that we don't normally ski. My son says, "Do you think we could do it?" And I said, "Well, probably, but I don't know how icy it is." So we didn't do it immediately, but we kept asking different guys. I was asking different people how icy it was, because normally ice is pretty tough. And the mountain was very fast to begin with on Friday. And so I was asking, and everybody said, "Well, it's a little icy, but it's not too bad." So we decided we were going to go down that mountain, and I was planning on stopping about halfway down. But my son, who has legs of iron from playing all the basketball he plays 2-3 hours every night, decided he was going to continue. I'm not on? I'm not on.
Yeah, but it doesn't get recorded. Yes.
Oh, it's on mute for some reason.
There you go.
All right. We'll turn it down. So my son decided to go all the way down. And I decided, all right, I guess I'll follow him. And what happened was I started picking up more and more speed. And as I was picking up speed, I said to myself, wow, I'm going a little too fast. And now I'm starting to crank out some speed. And what's happened is I was coming to a part of the mountain where I knew if I didn't stop there, I was in really a lot of trouble. But I was nearing out of control. And all of a sudden I realized I'm just about out of control here. I'm flying. And where I intended to stop, two people in front of me stopped. And now I'm out of room, and I'm thinking if I either there was a fence to the left or a big pitch to the right, and I said to myself, if I hit that pitch, man, I'm hit straight. I knew it, man. I was really flying. So I said, well, I got to go for the fence. If I don't stop, I'll hit the fence at least. So I put on the brakes as fast as I could, and you slide to a stop, and I'm sliding. This fence is coming closer and closer. I'm thinking, holy cow! And I go to balance because I was on such a tilt. I go to balance myself to push myself up with the pole, and the pole, because I was going so fast, ripped out of my hand. Now I don't even have the pole to balance myself on. And somehow I said to myself, I'm thinking to myself, oh, I'm dead. I'm going to hit this fence. About a foot before the fence, I stopped.
All right.
And I said to myself, Lord, I think the Lord protected me. I pray all the way up there. I always pray that God protects us. My son comes down. He goes, "Dad, in all my life, I have never seen you ski that fast." I said, "Ski that fast?" I said, "I was out of control. I wasn't trying to ski. That wasn't even skiing. I was out of control." The world record on skis is about 110 miles an hour. I felt like I was near breaking it. I know I wasn't even close, but that's what it felt like. But, I said to myself, no matter what we do, when we dwell in God's presence, when we seek God, His protection is there.
Amen.
His protection is there. And Psalm 91 is one of the most beautiful, beautiful promises and filled with promises in all the Bible. There's 23 separate promises in this psalm. I'll read a couple of them. I was going to read them all at the same time. I'll read a couple of them. It says that He's our fortress. It says that we'll be spared from deadly pestilence. We dwell and we're covered with His feathers. It says that in verse 10 that no, we have nothing will befall us. We have nothing to fear. Verse 14, God will rescue us and protect us. Verse 15, He is with us in trouble. Verse 15 again, we will be honored by God. You imagine that God says, because He says I love Him, I will honor Him. And it says that we're promised long life and be satisfied. It says that we'll see the salvation of Jehovah. This is an absolutely incredible, incredible psalm filled with this wonderful, wonderful, wonderful promises. So we ask, how do we look at the psalm and say, honestly, well, How come these things are not fulfilled in everyone's life? Why is it many can look at this psalm and say that their lives have nothing to do with this kind of promise? That disaster has befallen them, that things do have happened to them, that there's times they feel unprotected. Listen, is God to blame? Do bad things happen because God is taking a break or on a vacation? Should we profess that this portion of Scripture is not true? I think if we look close at the psalm, we'll find that the answer does not lie in God, but lies in us. Beautiful psalm. Beautiful psalm. Brimming with light. Brimming with promise. So why isn't it always fulfilled in our lives? There are reasons for it. There are reasons for it. In Oklahoma, there's a sign on the side of the road, I don't know if they've changed it, that says, no trespassing, no dumping, trespassers will be violated. Now, I have to assume that psalm is a misprint. That sign is a misprint. I don't think that they're intending on violating people that dump there on that spot. I think they meant no dumping, trespassers will be prosecuted, not violated. But somebody made up the sign, and nobody missed it, and they posted, and nobody caught it, I should say, and they posted the sign. But even though the sign is an error, the thought is clear. There is a boundary being set up. They're setting up a boundary. They're saying you're allowed to go this far and not any further. Now, they apparently were very serious about setting up that boundary line. We use boundaries. We understand boundaries. In all society, there are certain places that you do not go unless you are certified, unless you want to go or you're allowed to go beyond that point. So Linda made up a bunch of flyers for us to pass out the other day, and Matt and I went to the school, and Matt sat in the car in his dog outfit while I went into school. It was pretty funny because when people were driving, we were in a no parking zone. I thought this is going to be really funny if the cops come by and they see Matt sitting in the car in a dog outfit. But I don't care. I left him there. It was funny. I left him there. I went inside to get the flyers. Now, Celinda happened not to be there at the time. But in Celinda's office, I want to tell you this. As you walk in, first of all, there's the doors. That's the first boundary. But as you go in the office, as you step into the main office, there's a counter that extends. It's about this high from one end of the office to the other end, except for a little space where you can walk through. Anybody know what that counter is there for? What that counter is saying? What's that counter saying, Celinda? That counter is saying there's no signs that I remember seeing that are posted. But that counter is very clearly saying you are not allowed past this point. You walk into this office, you stand on that side of the counter unless you're authorized, then you could come on the other side. No one, you're laughing, am I right? No one has to tell anybody. We understand that there are boundaries. And we understand that there are certain places you cannot cross. You're not allowed to go beyond. We all know that there's speed limits. Very few of us obey them, but we know that there's a boundary. Because we all know that the real speed limit's about 10 or 15 miles an hour above the speed limit, right? That's what we all know. Okay? So where do most people drive? 10 or 15 miles an hour. If I'm on a road, I was told by the chief of police in Wayne that they give you 15 miles an hour. So in Wayne. So I know if I do want to go over, I got 14 miles an hour to go over. After that, I'm not going to 15 because I know at that point they're going to stop me. You see, because that's the real speed limit anyway, right? But if I'm on a strange road, I keep it within 10. You see? Don't ask me if I ever do the speed limit because unless I'm going around town, the answer is no, and you know that already. I'm not a slow driver. My wife is. You can't get her to do the speed limit on a highway. I can't get her to do the speed limit. Okay? We know that there's boundaries in life. And we obey those boundaries. We even have boundaries of what we say to people. There's certain things you won't say to people. We have certain ways we can touch people and other people we can't touch because there's boundaries. And do you know that most of us have a 3-foot line around us? Do you know what a 3-foot line is? Most of us have around a 3-foot line around us. We don't like In fact, that when someone comes closer. In fact, if you want to do something one day, stand next to somebody like in a line that you don't really know and there's not a crowd. If you're in a crowd, it's different. But then move closer to them. Just for the fun of it, move closer to them.